Hey all, Grolo here. Man, there's so much happening right now in the MMO space, especially in the big three games that we focus in on with this channel. Star Citizen, Ashes of Creation, Pax Day. It's a great time to be an enjoyer of this classic game, for sure. So first, Ashes of Creation's early access launch on Steam kicked off on Thursday. Side note, if you are looking for a competitive adult community for this game, you've already found one. Hit the links below. Our Ashes of Creation chapter has been in there ever since the servers came up. Nothing like that fresh MMO launch smell, right? So now the game's available through Steam. No more Intrepid launcher. You know what that means. It means you'll actually be able to download and update the game at a decent rate. Seriously though, the old launcher, its download and patching system not as robust as Steam's. Let's just leave it at that. Now there's a lot to this release, which you know, we'll get into in a moment. But first, the other two games. Pax Day's big Burst 5 update has been on the Arcadia test realm for a few days now. We are figuring things out, and we're looking forward to it dropping any day now on the live servers. I can't wait. We just did a video on that, so if you missed it, go check that one out. I'm not going to repeat it all here, but it's one of the big things happening this month. And finally, Star Citizen 4.5 is working its way to live servers, slowly but surely. This is the big engineering update that could redefine large ship gameplay as we know it, or will it? I don't know. Jury's still out. I put out a reaction to the news on how this system has evolved since they first started talking about it. I did that a few days ago, so check that out for more depth on this hopefully December release. But in addition to this, IAE wrapped up a bit ago. And just as always, some financial news has been trickling in. I wanted to address this quickly. Does anybody remember this? There's a lot of focus on the risks associated with the Star Citizen project. Few are more popular to discuss than, what if the funding dries up? On the flip side, who's asking the question, what if it doesn't? What if the funding continues to pour in, or accelerates? What if the gamers being drawn to this project continue to vote loudly with their wallets and insist on finally getting something different, something new? Looking at past trends, this seems a safer bet than the alternative, pessimistic position. Well, that video aged well, eh? We have passed 900 million in funding. The most recent number I have is 922.8 million. 148 million of that came just this year alone. 148 million. Last year came in at 116 million, and the year prior to that, which was the previous record holder, was 117 million. What if the funding accelerates? Indeed. But why is it? There's a whole lot of commentators out there with a whole lot of theories. I think it's simple. Because the dream is coming into focus and transitioning into reality. This is the best year Star Citizen has ever had, playability and content-wise. Even if it wasn't all up my alley, I have to admit that, right? And I think the numbers that we're seeing represent that. Do you think it's any more complicated than that? If so, how and why? I'd love to know. Hit me in the comments with it. Now, back to Ashes of Creation's early access launch. First of all, you must play through Steam now, and that requires linking your Intrepid account to your Steam account. I got mine linked last night, thankfully, because I hear folks have been having some major problems getting them linked today due to server load. Intrepid must have been anticipating a spike based on whatever metrics they had in front of them, because they've already added 2 North American servers last I looked. So we'll see how this phase of the alpha goes. I'm pretty pumped. See how it evolves. Now, as far as the game changes and features, they've added a new character class, the Summoner, a new type of event called Harbinger Nethics, which is what this whole patch is named after, and it kind of reminds me of the infernal things in New World. You remember those stones that would pop up and like the on fire creatures would emerge for them, and you had to like kind of fight them back? It kind of reminds me of that, at least visually. I don't know if it's going to play that way or not. Won't know until I get in there and try it out. If you know, hit me in the comments. They've also added a new Destiny system, which is designed to improve the 1 to 10 leveling experience. Sport fishing. Got a lot of people excited for this one. As I understand it, this will appeal greatly to the Arcade crowd, a game that I never played, so I don't quite grasp it, but indeed it sounds cool. Mules is another cargo transportation option. Duels, something I so dearly wish Pax Dei had. New POIs, a pretty large it sounds at least like a pretty large overhaul to the crafting system, and they've renamed nodes to settlements, and a lot more. Let's skim the patch notes. There's a lot there. I will link them below for anybody who wants to really dig into them. I'm just going to skim and raise the highlights. Welcome to the 0.18 Harbinger update and Steam Early Access. They are thrilled to open the divine gates of Vera to a wider audience as Ashes of Creation enters this next milestone. This update delivers a massive wave of new content and improvements, including the debut of the Summoner archetype, huge, the large-scale Harbinger system, the progression-driven Destiny system, fully realized sport fishing, duels, all the stuff I was just talking about. Significant enhancements to the new character experience. Every change and addition you'll find below reflects our progress since the last Alpha 2 update. Boom. So yeah, the Summoner, I have been waiting for this class. I mean, the moment I saw Ashes of Creation, I don't even know, 3 years ago now, it feels like, the Summoner was the class that instantly drew me in. Back in World of Warcraft, I always played a Warlock. It's just that whole archetype really speaks to me. I'm very excited to see how this plays. Now, I know this was on Test Realms for a while, and things were in rough shape. I don't know. I haven't really been following it too closely over the past 2 months, so I don't know how much better it has gotten since then. I hope significantly, because things were pretty broken on the Test Realm from what I understand. But yeah, sounds like the Summoners use a special resource called Essence. This is generated through your weapon combos and from your Spirit Vessel basic attack. So basically the animal that or the demon, or whatever the hell they summon, its basic attacks will somehow generate this stuff. This is interesting because I think this is the first class with a special resource. If I'm not mistaken, all other classes, at least up until now, just use mana, which has always felt a little strange, but Pax Dei is the same, honestly. Then I have Summon Spirit Vessels, the Guardian, the Hunter, and the Mystic. Magical support vessel that can heal, shield, and provide AoE damage. The Damage Dealer, dish out both ranged and melee, and the Defender. So if you're coming from a game like World of Warcraft, I guess this would be like the Void Blueberry. Maybe this is the Fell Puppy. I don't know. Who knows what that would be? But maybe the Imp. So cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward. I mean, when I get in there, I will most likely be experimenting with the Summoner. Again, the Bard has really won me over the past several phases of Alpha 2, but like I said, whenever I first saw Ashes of Creation, it was the Summoner that grabbed my attention, and so I'm really looking forward to putting that class through its paces. We already talked about this, the new Harbinger, Narthex. I was thinking it was Nethex. So these things slam into air, their impact carved scars across the land and left their vessels cracked open. The Narthex is the threshold into these fallen dreadnoughts. First step into the corrupted sanctum of ancients. Gather your party, fight through the ancients, and breach the narthex to confront the ancient captains. So it does sound like this is going to be a little different than what New World had. It looks like you're going to be entering these things, perhaps. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. I'm not going to speak too much to it because I have not been in there. I have not played it yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing how that works. Destiny system. Multiple threads, each focusing on different aspects of the game. These threads are going to guide you through the 1 to 10 experience. I think this is really important because the game definitely just kind of threw you in there. And I'm a fan of games that just throw you in and let you figure things out for yourself. But Ashes isn't really that kind of game. It is not as sandboxy as Star Citizen or Pax Day. It's definitely more on the theme park side, even though they want to give a lot of the sandbox elements. And I'm okay with that. You know, every game has its balance between those two things, and I think Ashes is hitting an interesting junction point between the two. But I do think that like some hand holding in those early levels will help Ashes quite a bit. It's definitely, of those games, I feel like the actual character to world interaction is actually more complex than the other two. You might be wondering why I say that. Like, Star Citizen is quite a complex game, but I think the fundamental ways that you interact with the world as a character in Star Citizen is actually quite simple. Same in Pax Day, but I think there's a lot of complexity in the interactions in Ashes, and I think this will really help new players. And of course, it's, you know, they're going to have completion objectives, so boom, 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 you're going to fire that light going off in your brain. Sport fishing. If you have been looking forward to this, I probably don't need to talk about this a whole lot, but yeah, sounds like they have all kinds of mechanics that have gone into this. There are people in our clan that live for this, and so I'm really excited to hear from them. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about this, but definitely get in here, read these patch notes if this thing speaks to you. I'll definitely be trying it out once I get there. It'll be really interesting to see how this plays. I've never been a fisher in any MMO. I did not fish in WoW. I did not fish in New World. I can't fish in Star Citizen or Pax Day yet. But it was always kind of just boring in those games. So it sounds like it may be a little more in-depth in this one. So I'll check it out. The mule system. Mules can carry 1 to 2 small crates using attached saddlebags. This sounds like kind of the sweet spot between pack carrying. So the last alpha release that I played, they added the ability to carry a pack on your back, and you could walk it on foot. And of course, you had the wagons where you could get, you know, 4, 6, whatever packs on those things and haul them. So this sounds like the step in between, step up from carrying it on foot prior to getting to the caravan. So this is cool. If you kill the mule while they're carrying the crates drop to the ground. So this will be more conflict gameplay, conflict-inducing gameplay. And your mule cannot be desummoned while carrying crates. So cool. Duels can be started by right-clicking on another character and selecting duel, just like most other, or slash duel, just like another MMO you might be familiar with. If a character delivers a lethal attack, the duel ends immediately. The defeated character does not die, but instead recovers 10% of their maximum health. Very cool. I cannot repeat enough how much I wish Pax Day had this feature. Just the ability to practice PvP is huge. It's so huge and equalizing to give everybody a way to really practice this stuff. So I'm looking forward to getting in there and dueling the clan, as well as others. Guards will not intervene or attack characters who are engaged in a duel. Makes sense. And characters must be within 20 meters of each other and not currently in combat in order to initiate. That all makes sense. New POIs in the anvils, which is cool. The anvils was pretty barren. I know a lot of people were excited to start in the anvils last time. It was the second starting zone they added, and then a lot of those people ended up going back to the old zone just because of how fleshed out the anvils was not. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like. Economy and artisanship. The rarity of all gatherables is now determined entirely via the weighted random roll set to a target specific ratio of your different quality values. This is big because prior to this, they even call this out down here in the final bullet point. static rarity was a huge problem. It created all kinds of out-of-game exploits where people were running like special out-of-game software to allow them to quickly find the rare nodes, and it created this environment where, you know, the people who understood the system were just camping those rare nodes and getting the rare resources endlessly while everybody else starved for them. It was really shitty. So I'm really happy to see that they are correcting this, along with a whole bunch of other stuff. I encourage you to get here and read this. Processing stations no longer require fuel. In general, refining stuff last alpha release was way too costly. It really put a lot of people off from even participating in this. Really good to see they're reducing the cost on this stuff. And it looks like they're just making general improvements to the recipes and the crafting system in general. Again, I hope to see a lot more people engaging with this stuff, because it was pretty off-putting previously. Yeah, right here. About 500 recipes have had the materials required adjusted to better align the effort needed to craft these items. This is all really good news, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. The 4 artisan POIs associated with each of the starting areas will now contain all the novice tier crafting stations. That's cool. Fixed artisan POIs so that processed resources can now be sent to the warehouses when claimed. Yeah, again, these are all great changes. Artisan shipped tool recipes are now craftable with ingredients from any biome. That would have been annoying to be in one that didn't. Rename the starting tools and reduce their durability. Additional economy and artisanship changes, added new toggle on the artisan page. Yeah, a lot of this stuff just looks... This is all going to compound to make a really much better experience, it looks like. But again, these are all fairly small, discrete changes. I encourage you to come check it out. Character archetypes in combat. Newly created mages, rangers, bards, and summoners will start with a ranged weapon in hand. This is cool. Previously, like whenever you spawned into the game, you had to go get a weapon. There was like all the weapons hanging around. Ashes is interesting in that like it encourages any class to use any weapon. And a weapon's actually a pretty substantial part of your rotation. So this is an interesting choice on Ash's part for a game like this. But it looks here like they're going to be gently nudging classes into a weapon that might make sense for their playstyle. At least, and I saw this before, and a lot of new players were actually caught off by this, where like they would leave the starting area without a weapon, and then they would have to go back and get one. It sounds like they're going to smooth that out, which is cool. Characters and raids no longer gain adventuring or weapon experience. Wow. That's a substantial change, actually, because there was a lot of raid XP grinding in prior expansions, so this is going to push people into smaller party XP grinding. Interesting. Level up notifications, cool. Sticky notifications. System reminder above the system tray now shows unspent skill weapon. Okay, that's cool. Heals will no longer default to yourself when you have a valid friendly target, even if the target is out of range. Thank God. Oh my gosh, this was so annoying. So, depending on what kind of healer you were, Bard or Cleric, they both had heals that had lengthy cooldowns. And what would happen is, in the middle of battle, you would be trying to heal your ally, and if they just dipped out of range a little bit, it would automatically cast on you. And it would blow the cooldown, even if you didn't need to heal. It was so annoying. I heard people complain about this all the time. I usually played a Bard, so this bit me many times, so I'm really good to see that change. Really happy to see that change. Magical spears, one-handed axes will not properly scale off their combo hit damage with magical power. Yeah, there was definitely some scaling errors based on whether it was magical or physical before, so good to see changes like that. Stat balancing changes, a lot of stuff here, guys. I'm not going to go into the class-specific changes again. I encourage you to come out and check it out. I just wanted to kind of get a high level on what the new things coming with the early access release on Steam was. Some really, really big ticket items. You know, I played all the Alpha 2 releases so far, and I will say this sounds like the biggest, most drastic change by far throughout Alpha 2. Which is important and good to see, because whenever they first announced that they were going to be doing a Steam launch, I was definitely skeptical of how successful it may be. Just based on the very incremental changes I was seeing in Alpha 2 so far, I was like, man, I don't know if it's ready. You know what I mean? And Early and often is definitely a thing in software, but I have seen it bite companies whenever they release too early on Steam. I don't know. I'm not saying that they are, and based on the changes that I'm seeing in these patch notes, I think, who knows, this might be the right time. It's going to be really interesting to see how things evolve over the next few weeks to months. I know I'm excited to get in there and play. I'm excited to get in there with the clan. I hope everybody in the clan's having a great time today. I've seen people in there since the servers first went up. Hope you're having a good time if you're playing. And don't forget, if you need a place to play Ashes or Pax Day or Star Citizen, hit the links in the description box below. And don't forget, this coming Saturday, I will be doing an earlier stream than normal. Normally, I start streaming around 7:30, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern on Saturdays. But this coming Saturday, I'm going to start alternating it so that one Saturday I do a later stream, the next I do an earlier stream. So this Saturday, I should be getting a start around 3:30 or 4 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're in the EU, that should be far more compatible with your evening hours. Looking forward to it. I don't know what I'm going to be streaming yet. Most likely Star Citizen. Maybe I'll stream Smashes. I don't know. We'll see. Play it by ear. But I look forward to seeing you on Saturday. I'd really love to see y'all come out, keep me company. It really makes it so much fun. And drop me a comment below. Tell me what, if anything, this month are you pumped about? Are you going to be joining Ashes, the fray there? Or are you looking forward to engineering going live in Star Citizen? And speaking of going live in Star Citizen, who wants to take bets that it goes live the last day before Christmas break? I mean, come on, it's just a tradition by now, right? Or what about verse 5 in Pax Day? Are you ready to fight for those Mornwood trees? Or maybe you've got your eyes on something else entirely. I'd love to hear about that too, in the comments below. Until then, take care, and Grolo out.